Let's look at setting up a minimal Metasploit Lab that we can use to both test the functionality of Metasploit and also familiarize ourselves with this whole concept of there's vulnerabilities and there's exploits, and exploits can be used to take advantage of vulnerabilities and gain control of a remote computer. So to do this, here's a preliminary drawing. Subject to change. We're going to need an attack machine or a machine to run Metasploit. Now, the simplest thing for us to do is just use Kali Linux. And that's what we're going to do. And there's a specially unpatched version of Linux called Metasploitable that's basically was created to be a good target when you're experimenting with Metasploit. So let's use that as well. And we'll get it. We'll go into more detail on this diagram in a moment. Let's start by looking at the needed files here. So I'm going to go to File Explorer, and in my Downloads folder here, I've got Metasploitable, the zip file. I've got Kali Linux, fairly recent copy. It's a 7-zip file. Both of these are zipped, and we're going to need to unzip them before we can use them in VMware to create virtual machines. So I've got a compression tool called 7-zip installed on this computer, and Windows itself will unzip these for you. But if I right click here and go to 7-zip and open the archive, you get this. Click on extract and tell it where to put it. So you need to specify where to copy this extracted file or files. Should be just an ISO in this case. So let's navigate here. I'm going to go to C drive and make a new folder, and I'm going to call it Virtual Machines. And typically what you need to do here is press enter before you click OK. So now OK. It looks like I was wrong. Kali is just a zipped up virtual machine. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So let's look at Metasploitable here. 7-zip, open the archive. Same process, extract it. I'm going to put it in the same place. And it's also just a copied virtual machine. So it's good to know what form our files are in here, because it makes a difference here. If these had been ISO files, we would have went here. The fact that they're not means we want to go here, open a virtual machine. So I'm going to click on this and navigate to where you saved these files. This PC, C drive, virtual machines, and let's do Kali first. Double click. So you should find a VMX file. This is a virtual machine configuration file. Now there's a lot more files there, but this is the one that VMware wants to see. So connect to that. So here's your copied Kali Linux. Now before we go any further here, click on Network Adapter, and this will open up. These default to NAT, and that will allow this to get out on the internet through the host operating system, and we don't want that since we're dealing with exploit code. Click on host only here, and this is VMnet 1, by the way. And look at your other information here. Yours may have a different amount of memory allocated. This computer I'm using here has a lot of memory, so I can afford to use more memory here. This speeds things up. So I'm okay with that. Click OK. And you can go on and start this up. So the username and password here are both Kali. So we've got that one up and running. And let me show you something while I'm here. Open a terminal and type ifconfig. So this is the internet configuration command, and my ETH0 is using the IP address 192.168.145.128. And does it tell you here? I know for certain it got this using DHCP, and that's all right, although you might want to change this. We'll talk about that later. Let's go back to the Home tab here. Open up another virtual machine, and this time we're going to Metasploitable 2, and there's the VMX file. And again, let's look at its network adapter. And I don't know why, but Metasploitable comes with 2 by default. Don't understand that, but double click on one of them. And this first one here, let's go on and click it over to host only. And the second one, I'm just going to remove mine for the time being. We might put it back later, but I'm pretty sure for our purposes we're not going to need it. So basically I've set Metasploitable to use the same network, host only. It's VMnet 1. And it's going to get an IP address on the same network as Kali. If you really want to, you can boost your memory up if you have that much memory. This particular computer I'm using here is 32 gig, which is very much unusual. I think it'll run just fine in 512. Might be marginally faster if you give it some more memory. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. As a matter of fact, I think I'll just leave it like this. Very small hard disk. You could expand it here, but I don't think there's any need. The only thing this Metasploitable 2 is doing for us is just sitting there being a sitting duck. That's all it does. So click OK and go on and power it on. And if you're ever asked this question, did you move it or copy it? If you don't know the answer, click you copied it. What that does, it tells the VMware to randomly generate MAC addresses for any interface, any network interfaces. That's all it's doing. And hopefully you remember from networking how important MAC addresses are in delivering packets. So this time we get a more conventional view of a Linux box booting up. So we've got a command prompt here, and it tells you what to use to log in. MSF. You have to click inside here. MSF admin and MSFADMIN again. So here we are, and like Kali, I want to run ifconfig. Notice here that the IP address on Metasploitable is 192.168.145.129. So it's the same network. It's the next consecutive IP number, and that's again because this Metasploitable got its IP number from VMware's virtual DHCP server. So this is the next number in the scope. Now, back to your picture here. Notice I'm changing my IP numbers. Of course, on this box, it's still going to be 192.168.145. something here. Same thing over here. I'm going to change my numbers. I'll show you how to do that probably in the next video. You don't have to. I just think it's going to be a little bit confusing. If this one is .128 and this is .129, I would prefer to have a noticeable difference in the IP numbers when I'm analyzing packet captures and things of that nature. And that's the only reason you would have to change your IP numbers. And it's up to you. You don't have to. So let's see where we are. We've created, or we've actually just opened up 2 existing virtual machines, both of which were already created. We just connected to them. We had to unzip both of them first, but then we made sure that they were both on the same network, which is the VM network 1, which is called a host-only network. Now, one more little reminder here. This is a host-only network, yes, but your host PC has an interface on this network. Okay? So, from the host PC, we can do such things as ping these. Let's do one. So from here, ping 192.168.145. Let's see, 128 was one of them. This was the Cali. So there it is. And 129 is Metasploitable, and we've heard from Metasploitable. So this other interface here, this kind of end around, is something to keep in mind. Again, next video I'll show you how to change these, this 4th octet address if you want to. You don't have to. You can use the ones that were given out by DHCP. It's just a little bit confusing. So we've got our virtual machines up and running. We have verified that they are on the correct network, and we can actually ping from one to the other if you want to try that too. So on Kali we can ping 192.168.145 in my case, and then 129 is Metasploitable. So it responds. Control-C stops it. So this is a basic configuration, and we'll go from there.